Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Kenya is debating a letter that was written to the ICC accusing William Samoei Ruto of attempting to murder Raila Amolo Odinga. They also mentioned that the Inspector General Japheth Koome is a man who is using force and brutality against peaceful demonstrators. Azimio supporters are over the moon with joy that at least Raila Amolo Odinga has taken this initiative, because in the past demonstrations we witnessed an attempt by the police to kill journalists, to kill innocent demonstrators. They even killed one of their own and accused peaceful demonstrators as the ones who are responsible for killing their own police who ran over using their vehicle. But is it enough to write a letter to the ICC? Is this enough protection by inviting the ICC to investigate the conduct and intent of William Samoei Ruto? That is what I want us to discuss. The reason why this is worth discussing is because the International Criminal Court sounds to be very independent, but on further scrutiny you will realize that this court is never independent at all. Did you know that the first three world's most superpower countries in the globe are not members of the ICC? USA is not a member of the ICC because ICC operates under an international treaty called the Rome Statute. So USA voted against it. Russia is not a member of the Rome Statute. China does not subscribe to the Rome Statute. Of course, Israel is not part of it. Libya, Qatar, Yemen, and certain members of the globe. But despite the fact that USA is not a member state of the ICC, USA controls what happens in the ICC. This is the bitter truth. Considering that USA controls what happens in the ICC, it begs the question whether Raila is safe by writing to the same court that the United States of America support and has control of. Considering that the person Raila is accusing of orchestrating atrocities is a very good ally and friend to the United States of America. And the answer is obviously no. Raila is not safe just by writing to the ICC. But writing to the ICC is good because Raila is showing the international community and the whole world that you are turning a blind eye when the regime is raining terror on my supporters. The ICC talks about a few things. They say that they offer fair trial. And many experts believe that there is no fair trial at the ICC. Once they have decided that they have got something against you, maybe the US, Britain, and the members of the NATO, the European Union, there is no fair trial. They have decided that you will be hung, or the NATO soldiers will be set against you and you will be killed. They will be funding your enemies. If you're a president, they will fund the opposition leader. This has happened before. They talk of the prosecution being independent. In fact, the current prosecutor at the ICC is Karim Khan. For those who followed the case against William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta, Karim Khan was one of the lawyers who represented Ruto then and Uhuru Kenyatta. So they say that the prosecution is independent, but the prosecution is never independent. It is influenced by those big boys that I've mentioned to you. They also talk of the defendant's right being upheld and victim voices are heard. But the other thing that they talk of that I want to talk about is that those who are participating and witnesses are protected. You all know that some of the witnesses to the ICC in Kenya were killed in our own soil, in our own country. So when they say that they protect witnesses, maybe it is only on theory. It is not practical, because we know that many of the witnesses to the ICC died in some circumstances that we cannot, incredible circumstances. With all this, ladies and gentlemen, what if the government goes ahead and injure, maim, or kill the Azimio, one of the Azimio members, or Raila Amolo Odinga? We cannot trust the ICC. And the following is what the ICC can do. Number one, the ICC has got a policy that they only complement the national courts. Like in Kenya, and I remember when before William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta went to The Hague, Kenya was given an opportunity to establish a court in the stature of the international courts so that we can try our sons in our own soil, or on our own soil. Kenya failed to do that, and that is why they went to The Hague. Because the ICC says that if you cannot cooperate to establish such a court, then only then will they take your sons or daughters. So they can decide that they are giving Kenya a chance to establish such a court. And you can imagine if, for example, William Ruto is the president of Kenya, and then we establish a court that is trying William Ruto in Kenya. Do you know what that means? It is like there is no court, because he will be given special treatment that it won't look like it is jail or cell or something. So they can use this under the pretext that we have established a court and that they are now prosecuting a president or a former president, yet it is only in theory. He will be given preferential treatment. Number two, they can turn a blind eye. We all know how the international community has turned a blind eye. A good example is in Rwanda. When the Hutus and the Tutsis were fighting, the international community turned a blind eye and they butchered each other. I think when you go to Rwanda, there's a museum where they are just skulls and bones of dead ones, just to remind them of what they went through. So the international community can decide to go blind, because to me, international community and the Hague is the same thing. US, Britain, European Union, and the NATO. So when I talk of the international community, I talk of the ICC together. So they can turn a blind eye, fail to respond, whether you write a letter or not, and they do nothing. The third one is that they can arrest the purported victim. They prosecute, but they later release under the guise of there was no proper investigation. This is what happened to President William Samoei Ruto and the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Their cases were terminated, that there was no proper investigation. And remember, I had told you that the ICC works under one of the policies that the investigations are very independent. So if they are very independent in their investigations, how then do they say that they release someone that there is no proper investigation? And I remember then, the then prosecutor Ocampo said that there was no cooperation from the government. And that is the question that begs, if a president commits an atrocity, do you think a president who has got network, that you expect the police and the intelligence to release damaging reports that it will implicate a president or a former president? And this is just how fake it is. So they can arrest someone, then release. and they say that there was no proper investigation. They can also decide to turn against the victim. They can tell Raila Odinga that you are the one who broke the law. You took people on the street when it had been said that it was illegal, and they simply turn against you and they level charges against you so that you are the hunter and you become the hunted. So the mere fact that Raila Odinga did a letter to the international court is not enough. And most supporters and experts are calling upon the Azimio fraternity to be very vigilant and very careful, because once you have lost your life or you are maimed, it doesn't matter. People will be battling to get justice, but you are gone. And this is the reason why, even though we are very happy that Raila took this initiative, but we know that we are dealing with a monster. And this monster is called the USA and the Britain and the ICC. They are all together. We saw examples when Raila's car was being targeted by 7 bullets or 10 bullets. Diplomats were very quiet. They didn't talk about it. And you know what that means. So ladies and gentlemen, that is what the ICC is all about. It is never independent. It is controlled. If you read further, you realize that once you're not in good terms with the USA and with the international community, whether you're a president, an opposition leader, a businessman, once they have decided that they want you out, you cannot withstand their pressure. And that is my take.